pretty good session. Good to get a move around, get a sweat on. Did as much as I could without the hand. Now I'm just going to head home and get in the sauna, have an ice bath, like cold.
For the upcoming clash between Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachaev, JDM is preparing for a tough fight against Islam Makhachaev. Islam is a powerful grappler with strong wrestling skills, so Jack's training focuses on stopping takedowns and staying on his feet. He is working on his footwork, timing, and ways to avoid being taken down. His coaches are helping him improve his ability to get up quickly if he does go to the ground. Jack's boxing is one of his best weapons, and he is training to use it to keep the fight standing. His team is also making sure he builds strong cardio and defense to deal with Islam's pressure and pace. Moreover, after a long day of training, Jack Della Maddalena was taking an ice bath to help his body recover. The cold water helped reduce swelling and muscle soreness from the intense workouts. His team watched closely, making sure he followed the routine properly. Even though the ice bath was uncomfortable, it was an important part of his recovery. Jack stayed focused and calm, knowing that every small step in training and recovery was helping him get ready for the biggest fight of his career.
Yeah, it does fit, I think.
Sometimes I reckon it's harder, even if like I come in and I'll just like dunk and then stand up and then dunk and then stand up and then like 5 times. Probably only takes like 20 seconds to do it 5 times, but I reckon that is all day.
Yeah. You didn't get a dog or something?
I got a dog.
Dude.
She's just she's a bit of a away.
Oh really?
I'll bring her out.
Meanwhile, Michael Chiesa gave credit to Jack Della Maddalena for his smart performance against Belal Muhammad. He pointed out how well Jack avoided getting trapped near the black line by the cage, an area where Belal usually applies the most pressure. Jack used stance switches and sharp movement to stay in control, forcing Belal to take long, less effective shots. Chiesa praised Jack for fighting outside his usual style and handling the pressure like a well-rounded fighter. While he's unsure if Jack can beat Islam Makhachaev, he's interested to see if Craig Jones's training can help overcome the Dagestani style, which has been dominant in MMA.
We have to give credit to Jack Della because he did such a good job not getting boxed in. He was able to change stances, strike from both stances, and avoid the pressure from Belal, because if Belal can box you in and get past that black line, you know, he's gonna, and when I say black line, it's the octagon within the octagon. There's that black line right by the fence, and if he can get you past that black line, that's when he pours it on the thickest. And he did a good job using his stance changes to not get boxed in, forced Belal into taking long shots, and forced Belal to fight his fight. So I got to give credit to the former champion. He fought a great fight outside of his wheelhouse, which is his grappling, but credit to Jack Della for fighting a great fight.
Does he beat Islam, do you think?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's Islam's a big boy, and he's a very smart fighter. I don't know, you know, we'll see if the Craig Jones magic can pay off. Is Craig Jones really the kryptonite to the Dagestani style of fighting? That remains to be seen, but I'm here for it.
However, Henry Cejudo believes Islam Makhachaev will defeat Jack Della Maddalena and become a 2-division UFC champion, seeing it as the natural next step in his path to greatness. On the other hand, Kamaru Usman is putting his support behind Jack, pointing to his calmness in tough situations and saying he has what it takes to hold on to his welterweight title. Both fighters agree that the matchup is expected to take place in October in Abu Dhabi, which means any plans for Islam to face Ilia Topuria will likely be delayed.
I think Islam Makhachev is going to beat him. I think he's going to become the 11th double champ in UFC history.
Islam tweeted, "Keep it shiny, keep it nice for me." JDM, I mean, it was kind of like the perfect comeback. He was just like, yeah, come get it.
Keep my belt clean. Okay, so the has begun, dude. That fight is set. That fight's going to take place in October, Abu Dhabi. I think we all know that. We're no longer going to get Ilia versus Islam Makhachev just now.
Moreover, in this camp, Jack Della Maddalena is also putting extra focus on preparing for Islam Makhachev's unique style. Knowing that Islam brings relentless pressure, world-class grappling, and strong control, Jack's team is simulating those challenges every day in training. He's working closely with high-level grapplers and wrestling coaches to improve his ability to stuff takedowns, escape bad positions, and stay dangerous even when backed up. At the same time, he's maintaining his striking sharpness to capitalize on any opening. The goal is to stay one step ahead and make Islam fight at an uncomfortable pace, using movement, precision, and well-timed attacks to keep the momentum on his side.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Wednesday morning. Pretty good session. Good to get a move around, get a sweat on. Did as much as I could without the hand. Now I'm just going to head home and get in the sauna, have an ice bath, like cold. Sick. So, yeah. That's right.
Meanwhile, outside of training, Jack Della Maddalena was spending quality time with his family, keeping his mind relaxed and balanced during the intense fight camp. Being around his loved ones gave him a sense of calm and motivation, reminding him why he pushes so hard in the gym. Whether it was simple moments at home or quiet time away from media and noise, these breaks helped him reset mentally. Staying grounded with his family allowed Jack to recharge, stay focused, and return to training with a clear head and strong purpose as he prepared for the biggest test of his career.
As if she's just fine.
Hey.
Hey. She's so like, it's fucking mad.
That's Uncle Cat.
What's that?
That.
What do you think it is?
Hey, a boy.
It's a microphone.
Hey, a boy.
Hello. So tell the microphone, how old did you turn, Frank?
A baby Dino.
On the other hand, Daniel Cormier sees a potential clash between Jack Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachaev as a thrilling, high-risk fight with major implications. He believes the matchup becomes even more compelling if Jack keeps gaining momentum, especially since Islam would be stepping into a heavier weight class. While Cormier respects Islam's elite grappling and fight IQ, he raised concerns about how well those tools would translate against a bigger, stronger opponent like Jack. He also pointed to recent reports of Islam still managing his weight for another fight, questioning whether he'd have enough time to bulk up properly and adjust to the physical demands of competing at welterweight.
Jack Della looks the way he did last week, and it's very, very intriguing fight because we've never seen Islam Makhachaev fight up at 170 pounds. We've never seen it. We've never seen him have to compete up 15 more pounds. Yes, he is a big dude, but in terms of full-on stature, is he big as Jack Della Maddalena is? And also, if he thought he may fight International Fight Week, how small had he gotten? And how much time does he have to put the weight back on the right way before he moves up to 170?
Additionally, Daniel Cormier highlighted the true appeal of a potential Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachaev fight that goes beyond just the skills there in the storyline. With Jack recently becoming the welterweight champion after a hard-fought win over Bilal Muhammad, and Islam possibly moving up as the reigning lightweight king, the stage is set for a classic champion versus champion showdown. Cormier noted that the weight class jump adds another layer of tension and curiosity. While detailed breakdowns of technique will come later, he believes it's the stakes, the build-up, and the unpredictability that make this matchup one of the most exciting possibilities on the horizon.
A lot of questions. But it's a big time fight, and we'll get into the X's and O's as we get closer. But right now, we're talking the story. We're talking about a guy that just beat Bilal Muhammad to become champion, now getting challenged by a 155-pound champion.
However, Renato Moicano shared his thoughts on the potential matchup between Islam Makhachaev and Jack Della Maddalena, saying the odds should be considered even. While he acknowledged Islam's dominant grappling and size at lightweight, he pointed out that moving up to welterweight brings new challenges. Moicano believed that Islam would need time to add weight the right way, build strength, and adjust to the power of bigger opponents. Because of these factors, he felt it would be fair to view the fight as a balanced contest, rather than giving a clear edge to either fighter.
So Islam versus JDM.
I think they probably should be even, you know, because even though Islam is a good grappler, he's big for 155. He's moving to 170. We never know, you know. I think he needs to take some time to work on to gain weight, to gain power, you know, to gain strength.
So that's why the odds are even, and I think they should be even.
Moreover, Navajo Sterling gave a strong opinion on the possible fight between Islam Makhachaev and Jack Della Maddalena, saying he sees JDM winning in dominant fashion. He felt the matchup would be so one-sided in Jack's favor that it could take the shine off any future plans for Islam to face Ilia Topuria. Sterling pointed to Jack's size, reach, and precise striking from mid-range as major issues for Islam, making it tough for the lightweight champ to close the gap or secure takedowns. He also noted that unlike many of Islam's past opponents, Jack wouldn't be undersized, removing one of Islam's usual physical advantages.
You picked JDM to win. Now he's got a big challenge in his first title defense against Islam. Do you think he's got what it takes to beat an Islam Makhachaev in his first defense?
People are going to say it's a wild take, but I reckon JDM smokes Islam. Shins him so bad. It's going to be so bad that the Topuria Islam thing will just be gone.
Do you think Islam's wrestling won't be a threat to JDM just because he's a lot bigger?
He's a lot bigger, and like when you watch JDM, like you put him on the end of mid-range, he's just gonna throw. That's hard to like shoot in on. He's not gonna be able to just abuse his size against him either. I think Islam's in for a rude awakening.
Furthermore, Javier Mendez shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Islam Makhachaev and Jack Della Maddalena, saying it's hard to tell if Jack would be Islam's toughest test yet, but confirmed that Islam is eager for the matchup. He highlighted Islam's world-class skills and relentless training habits, adding that Jack would be stepping into a level of competition he hasn't faced before. Mendez believes that if the fight is made, fans can expect to see the best version of Islam. He also mentioned that moving up to welterweight suits Islam well, as he'll no longer be undersized and will bring real strength and intensity to the division.
You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say if he's a harder challenge. You know, I just know Islam wants this one. So for me, that's the challenge I want, you know, and it's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, you know, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area. So, you know, Islam is a whole different animal than the Jack's ever been involved with. So if that fight does materialize, you know, we're going to see a hell of a fight, and you're going to see Islam perform at an absolute incredible level. And also, you know, the weight is not super big for him either. So he's going to be a fairly decent welterweight. So Islam won't be a small guy. He'll be a decent welterweight if that fight materializes.
However, MMA analyst Luke Thomas praised Jack Della Maddalena for his impressive striking display in his recent fight, noting that while Bilal Muhammad performed well, Jack's stand-up skills were clearly superior. However, Thomas also highlighted areas of concern in Jack's game. He pointed out gaps in his defensive movement and a few ill-timed takedown attempts that could leave him vulnerable. Against a highly technical and disciplined fighter like Islam Makhachaev, Thomas warned that those kinds of mistakes could be dangerous. He emphasized that in a matchup at the highest level, even small errors can be the difference between winning and losing.
I really think that, you knew the striking prowess of JDM, if he could just have enough time to get it going, would be enough. I think Muhammad somewhat overperformed relative to expectations, but in the end, JDM was better. But the defensive lapses, to me, I know we have to focus on like how good JDM is as a striker, but what could have cost him here was the incompleteness of his defense. And to me, he took a quantum leap forward today in showing how good that was. Now, again, trying to turn that defense into offense by trying to go for some of those ill-advised takedowns, especially in the fifth, and then you're getting kind of lateral dropped for it. You do that against Islam, and I think that's a huge mistake. Islam just doesn't make a lot of mistakes, right? He doesn't necessarily have, at times, always the flashiest offense. I mean, he does have very good offense. We're talking about the pound-for-pound #1 guy in the sport. But what really defines him is that he makes very, very good decisions.
Additionally, Luke Thomas also shared his enthusiasm about Islam Makachev's possible move to welterweight. While he admitted that a fight with Ilia Topuria would be exciting, he was even more interested in seeing how Islam would handle the challenges at 170 pounds. Thomas acknowledged that moving up a division is never easy and comes with no guarantees, but he emphasized the huge opportunity it presents. For Islam, it's a shot at becoming a 2-division champion and solidifying his place among the sport's greats, an accomplishment achieved by only a select few in MMA history.
I have to tell you, Islam up at 170 to me is exciting. I know what everyone's going to say. Oh my God. oh my God, the best fight you could have made in MMA was Ilya versus Islam. I'm not denying it. I'm not denying it. I'm not in any way asking you to feel differently about what was the best fight that could be made. But here's what I am trying to tell you. Islam up at 170 could be something really special. It could fizzle too, but I'm trying to point out the positives. It could be really special. For him to become a double champ could be a very big deal.
At the end, Luke Thomas discussed the likely scenario of Islam Makhachaev facing Jack Della Maddalena next, but made it clear that a future matchup with Ilia Topuria is still a strong possibility. He explained that even if Islam doesn't come out on top at welterweight, a return to lightweight to face Topuria would still make sense and remain highly anticipated. Thomas expressed his excitement about Islam moving to 170 pounds, noting that it could lead to something special for fans, especially if Makhachaev chooses to stay in the division for more than just one fight. He also emphasized that Islam has earned the right to pursue a second title, pointing to his impressive resume and his willingness to take on major challenges, like his 2 fights with Alexander Volkanovski, as proof of his ambition and competitive spirit.
Makhachev and JDM next doesn't mean you actually can't get Makhachev and Ilya at some point. It could be he goes up against JDM and maybe he doesn't get his ass kicked, but maybe he just kind of loses and you're like, oh, all right. Then you go back to 55 and you can see what's up after that. So it's not even a case that you can't get it. But my point is, Islam at 170, if he gives us 3 or maybe even 4 of those, is a treat as far as I'm concerned. Like him vying for double champ status, he's earned it. He gave Volkanovski 2 cracks. He accepted one of those on short notice, and I know it was like shorter notice for Volkanovski, but you know, nevertheless, accepting to fight Alexander Volkanovski on very, very short notice is still risky no matter who you are and no matter how much prep. And he gave him both of those. He did one of those fights in Volkanovski's home country. He's earned it.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about Islam versus JDM? We would love to hear your thoughts. So share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other videos on the screen right now.